Hello and welcome to the Record Club, brought to you by Record Store Day, the official charts and National Album Day, and proudly in association with Bowers and Wilkins. My name is Jess Iszatt. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's Record Club. We're very excited to say that our guests this evening are Blossoms, and they're talking all about their brand new album, Ribbon Around the Bomb. So, if you're new to the Record Club, we're going to be spending the next half an hour talking to Tom and Joe from Blossoms about the brilliant new record, and we're going to be putting forward some of your questions about the album for them to answer. So if there is anything you'd like to know about the brilliant new record, whether it be about a certain song, the artwork, maybe a lyric that you've enjoyed, drop us a question in the comment section below, and I will be asking a selection of them in the second half of our chats. And on top of that, one lucky person who sends in a question today will be randomly selected to win a pair of these headphones. They're Bowers and Wilkins PX7 over-ear noise cancelling headphones, and I mean the album sounded wicked in them. So yeah, get your questions to us. Also, I have the new record here in my hand. I've also been going through all the lyrics on the back and singing along really, really badly. Make sure that once we have finished with the chat, you pick up your own copy from your local record store. Obviously do that once our chat with Blossoms is over. So let's get straight into this week's Record Club and say a big hello to Tom and Joe from Blossoms. Welcome along. How are we doing?
Hey! Great. Good to be here.
I wish I could cheers you. I know that you guys have a little cheeky G&T on the go there.
There we go.
So we start every Record Club with a question from one of the many amazing independent record stores across the UK. And this week's question is from the Rockbox record store in Camberley in Surrey. They want to know, and I mean, they've gone straight in here. When was the last time that music made you cry?
Do you know what? I'm a crier. I mean, so I'm
not a crier.
Yeah, you see, if I love you, you know I love you. If I hate you, you know I hate you. And
if you're sad, you cry.
Yeah, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So me crying to music is not a weird thing to happen. I reckon it's like a weekly occurrence. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
If I get into a tune, especially if I had a drink and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I can be in a vibe and I can be there. Sometimes I cry with happiness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I was going to agree with this. I was going to say I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
So,
I think I don't cry a lot of music, but maybe like Joe said, after a couple of drinks and things remind you of stuff. Maybe like a Neil Diamond song.
Mine is definitely
Crackling Roses, something like
that. Mine's exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah, my gran passed away, like, I mean, I say recently, but obviously with the pandemic and stuff, it's not so recent anymore.
2019.
Yeah, and Crackling Roses, she loved Neil Diamond and that. And I mean, it's not a sad cry, do you know what I mean? It's like a...
Yeah, it's like you're remembering it.
Yeah, exactly,
but still, it's them kind of songs. And
Crackling Roses is a tune, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a belter, so it's one of them where it's sort of like a little tear comes down as I'm belting it at the top of my voice. And then, do you know what I mean, getting reminded why I play drums and don't sing.
For me, it's a hangover. Oh my goodness! If I want a good cry and a hangover, I feel like there's a few songs on that playlist. Maybe a Phoebe Bridgers one sneak in there. But yeah, we actually had her on the Record Club a while ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
oh.
Yeah, throwback. Maybe for the next album we'll get her on as well. But yeah, so we've got one crier and one non-crier. So, but both Neil Diamond though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think. What else would make me? It's always just like random songs that remind you stuff, innit? I suppose.
Yeah.
Probably so. There's a tear in my eye, and I fight it, and I don't let it out.
Don't fight it, Tom. Just let it all out.
I know.
Heart of stone.
Yeah.
I find that some people like that though. Sometimes you need something to break the waterworks, and then once you've done it, once the floodgates are open,
you're out.
That's it.
That's what I'm scared of. Crying all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, let it all out.
It's like breaking the seal.
Get it out there and then get back. You know what I mean?
Well, I have to say huge congratulations on your third #1 album. How does that feel for you?
It's surreal, really, I suppose. I mean, I suppose it's nice that it's still happening on like the fourth record, I suppose, because sometimes, you know, we could have dwindled off into obscurity and just been known for one album. So we always said we wanted longevity. So the fact we've had like the last 2 records have gone to number 1, it's nice. It's not the be all and end all, but it is validate. You know, it's nice. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, 100. And I think, do you know what I mean? When we started the band, we never like sort of, I don't know, it wasn't for a job, it wasn't for this. Do you know what I mean? It was never like a career choice. It was just something to do with our mates. So then to do it, and like Tom mentioned there, to sort of get that recognition as a band still, do you know what I mean? Is a big thing. Like, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of bands out anymore, which is sad. But I mean, there's other great artists coming through, which is mint. But there's not as many bands knocking about these days, like who are like us. Do you know what I mean? You just sort of mates from school and then just sort of it happened to you. So yeah, it's like a pinch yourself moment. Do you know what I mean? And the trophies sit mint together. They all like,
have you got a cabinet now?
Yeah, they all like interconnect into each other. Yeah. It's dead tight. It's mint.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't actually know that. How did you guys celebrate?
We had a party in town on Friday night, didn't we? With like all our friends and family.
So that's the hardest party to organise, because like you don't find out, do you really, until like the Friday at like 4:00.
Yeah, so you got like plant the seed once you know you're kind of on the way to getting them one. Like, we might be having a party on Friday, but if it doesn't happen, we're not having one.
Yeah.
So it's like, we'll let you know on Friday once we know. So everyone's like on hold waiting, and then you like send a text like, right, we've got it. Party's
maybe you need to plan the party but not say what it's for, and then like change the name of the party on the day according to what happens.
Like, top 5 album or top 10 album party.
Or maybe it's like, it's my half birthday, or pre-Christmas, or I don't know, depending on time of year.
There's always an excuse for a party, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is true. I feel like number 1 album, definitely, though, that is top tier. Well done, guys. In hindsight, do you think you have any advice for someone looking for that kind of energy? It's just that 3 is so good, so you must have some inkling.
Do what?
You just got to
be true to yourself.
Yeah, and just if you're a songwriter, keep writing songs. I suppose other artists might have number 1s when they don't write their own songs, so it's hard to give advice to that kind of artist, because we obviously write all our own stuff. So if you're someone who writes your own songs, obviously it's kind of, you can have the power behind you from record labels. You can do like things to put in your favour, but ultimately you got to have songs still. If the songs aren't any good, then I don't think people would be interested. So I just say, just got to stay motivated and stay as hungry as you ever was. That's what we kind of feel like.
Yeah,
we never take our foot off the gas, and
also without sounding negative, it's like not really concentrating on stuff like that. When it happens, it's class. But I think if you hone in on them things, I suppose it'll send you a bit fucking under, do you know what I mean? Like, send you a bit like, oh my god, like I don't know whether I can. Do you know what I mean? Like,
our second record didn't go to number 1, and our first one went to number 1, and we were, at the time, I remember feeling a bit like, but then we were like, you know what, it doesn't matter. And then the third one went to number 1. It was like, oh, that's nice. It was like just a nice surprise. So then I suppose
we always say this. So we always say, it don't really matter. And then the week the album comes out, I really want the number 1. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really want to get there. I really want that like number 1 spot. Like, it means everything to you. But I suppose it's not really concentrating on it in the weeks leading up to it is a big thing, to just sort of not get yourself going under about it and stuff. And it's one of them. I mean, like, I'm a huge artist, could come out and just sort of release something massive, and it's like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I do feel like as well, though, so if you look at it, so a first record is obviously your like kind of inspirations to date, and then that's always going to be quite powerful. And then after that, they always say that notoriously a second record's quite hard. Third record, you kind of find yourself a bit. Fourth record, I feel like you guys knew how to set apart an album. I feel like I'm in like a weird thing at the moment. Sorry, ignore my blinds. I didn't realize the sun was actually going to come out later. Yeah, so I feel like you guys have put a lot of energy into putting together the record, like the fact that you've bookended it, and the fact that you've drawn people in with the writer, who seems quite mysterious, especially on a first listen. It brings people back, even huge fans who concentrate right from the off. It brings people back to keep listening in a more conscious way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And is that something that you did consciously?
Yeah.
It was something that James Skelly, our producer,
Yeah, James is the lead singer of the Coral, and we've worked with him from the start.
Yeah.
From like our first single to all the albums up until now.
And he's a boss mentor, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's a songwriter himself. So, because I'm the only songwriter in the band, I look to James for like inspiration and advice and stuff like that. And like you said about the first record's all your influences, and then everything up to that point. The second record, you're trying to get it out and like capitalize on your success in a way. And then the third, you do kind of find yourself a bit. And then by this point, it was like, we've got to do something different here. We can't just do like an album of singles that just kind of fit together. We need to go a little bit deeper. So from the start, once I had the title Ribbon Around the Bomb, it was like evoking kind of cinematic things. And he was kind of like, then I wrote a song called Visions, which says, was I complete at 23? And then I had like the Sulking Poet, and it was like, right, it needs to be like a character that links it all together, which then I came across the writer, which is obviously myself. So it was a conscious effort to kind of have it like themes and concepts throughout it to link it all together. And just so it was something else to talk about, even like with like interviews and stuff. It's not just, oh yeah, we wrote 10 songs and this is the album. Like we needed a new angle to keep it fresh for us.
I even think for ourselves in the band, you know what I mean? It felt, I don't know, even when we're in the studio and stuff and doing it all, do you know what I mean? These themes running through it and stuff, and it's like, it was like an interesting thing to sort of cling on to and sort of listen to and, do you know what I mean, play upon, rather than just, like Tom said there, sort of looking at each tune as an individual tune. Do you know what I mean? This time, like, looking at everything as a whole album, which we'd never really done before.
Yeah, and that's why we did, like, we've always been fans of, like, films and, you know, like the way the opening song bleeds straight into Ode to New York, like that kind of thing. It's like the opening credits to a film sort of thing. We consciously did that and wrote it so it fitted together. So it was all in mind.
I also love the actual film that you've got for the album. Obviously, I did have to skim through the last bit because I was like, oh no, I'm going to actually get into the interview now. But obviously, you've got like the music in there from the album, and the in between parts are just so. Bizarre. Obviously, I want people to go and watch it. But whose idea are those? It's very dry. It's very random, and I feel like who's the actor? It's Daniel Rigby. Am I right? Yeah, he's awesome in it.
Yeah, he's my cousin.
Is he?
Like, yeah. So he's actually like a proper actor. So
we always
wanted him to be in something with us, and basically we came up with like a basic idea, and then we was working with a guy called Edwin who did all the artwork and did all the music videos from it. And basically we kind of wanted to hand the reins over a little bit because we've always been heavily involved, and obviously there's 5 of us, and we end up being a bit obsessed with it and never really quite nail it in that sense. You know, we always get almost there, and this time it was like, right, we want to just hand over the creative to another person and just let them do their thing. So we kind of came up with this idea where it's like setting a theatre and he's putting on the play, but then Edwin, he's just into bizarre stuff, and he basically just chopped it up and made it what it is, which is quite a surreal, like you said, dry. Doesn't make complete sense, but it's a lot of fun.
And there's a bit with a grape, and he.
That's like, it's just, there's no, like, we knew once we started filming it, we were like, this is going to be bizarre.
Yeah.
We knew Edwin was into just weird stuff, which we kind of let him just do.
Yeah, I think it's good though. I think it leaves it like them themes that run through the album instead of, I feel like the film could have sort of
mirror image there.
Yeah, and like made them themes really apparent. Whereas when you listen to the album, obviously you can make your own themes up that run through it. And like you said, you know what I mean, the writer's like some mysterious person, so where someone else might see themselves as a writer or whatever. I feel like the film sort of leaves that a bit more open. It sort of leaves them, even though Danny plays said writer, it's still a bit open. You can sort of interpret what you want as the film to go. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is quite a nice thing. It's not like this is a film and this is the story for it. It's like leaves it a bit open, and I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's just so funny. It's just so random. I love that. I love that. So obviously, people at home, you can get your questions to us. Make sure to comment in the comment section below. Then maybe I can go shut my blinds. I don't know. Can you guys tell me if there's been a surprising fan favourite since the drop of the album?
I think a surprising one for me is Edith. I think the ones that we always thought would do well, the Fingy Book, like that's the one I see most, and everyone's like, I love Edith.
Yeah.
Like, Whereas, like, I don't know, there's always ones you expect.
Visions, to be fair, because obviously the second to last track, Visions, is obviously like 7 minutes long. We've never done that before. Could be seen as quite indulgent, but we wanted to do something different.
Yeah. We've always teased down the albums. Like, we've always done like about 4 minutes or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like a bigger sort of song. But
people have fully got on board with it and get what it's about and appreciate it, which is nice, because some people could just be like, oh, what are you trying to do there? But we think it's good, and all the fans are like really on it with it, which is nice.
I also, normally we talk about the title of the album at the top of the show, but I know that you've been asked that a lot of times. So I'm gonna go shut my blinds when you tell us about your trip to Mexico, if that's all right, and the inspiration for Ribbon Around the Bomb. I do think it's a great song.
Sorry.
Okay. So we're both. Should we? Everyone have a break? No, I'm joking. 2 secs.
So basically, the song title came from. We played Corona Capital Festival, and me and Katie stayed a bit longer. We went round all the touristy things, and we went to Frida Kahlo's house, which is now a museum. You did want me to tell this story, didn't you?
I'm just hearing about you going to Frida Kahlo's house in Mexico, and it was a great trip, and you saw the inspiration for the title of the album.
Someone had described one of her paintings or artwork as a ribbon around a bomb. This was like from like 1930 something, and obviously they have all like the info next to the pieces of art. So I was like, oh, that's a great title. And I'm always looking for song titles to put into my phone, like wherever I am. So
do you have like a whole notes of like loads of random?
Loads. Yeah, so I'll make like anything, like what people say.
Nice. Honestly, you could be speaking to Tom and like say something, and then like all of a sudden he whips his phone out and like types something in.
And you're like, wait a second, that was a private.
Yeah.
That was a private piece of information.
Yeah. So then it went in the phone, and then I came home, and then I wrote the song, and then I sent it to James Skelly, and he was like, I love it. And then I was like, I think it should be the next album title. And I didn't have any other songs really written for it. Didn't know what it was going to be, but I just knew it was a strong title, and I thought that should be the album title. And then it was, and then obviously it kind of paints, the way I interpreted was, it's like there's a darkness beneath something that's disguised as quite pretty and all right, and you know, you're dressing it with a ribbon, but underneath it's quite destructive. That's what I kind of thought of, and then I thought that applies to a lot of emotions in life, and especially the way the world is the last couple of years. You know, I just felt it was right to do it, and I just went for it, and that was that.
Can't ask Frida Kahlo for her permission as well, but
no. Well, no, it'd be someone else who wrote it, because it wasn't even her.
That's true, actually. I feel like the film's a little bit like that as well. It's like you've got your obviously the songs, and then the sort of fun parts weaving through. So yeah, guys, definitely check out the film. So I also want to know in, oh my god, what song is it? The Soul King Poet, I think, where you've got Juliet in. It is that song, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you pick who's Juliet, and how do you pick a name for a song?
Basically, that song. So that song came about because Joe sent me a Blossoms fan page who referred to me as the Soul King Poet, which I thought was quite funny.
I like that.
I've always kind of got people tell me to smile more, shall we say, in photographs. So they've obviously
RBF.
Yeah, they're taking the piss saying that, and I thought, oh, that's quite a good song title. Again, it went into the phone, and I thought the Soul King Poet. So I started writing the song, and it's basically from the point of view as if I never really made it in a band, and I was trying to, and this person's kind of, you know, got older, and they're looking back, and they're toasting themselves as like a, you know, they never made it. They were the Soul King Poet, which is like what I'm like, I suppose. And so the Juliet bit was like, I wanted the chorus to be like the most throwaway in his head idea of, well, this is what a love song should be, because I've not made it anymore. So I'll just say, ooh la la, Juliet. That's why it says it, because Juliet's the most obvious, like Romeo and Juliet is like the obvious love story, isn't it? So ooh la la, Juliet is like the guys in his head the thought of like what's the most obvious like pop love lyric, and that's why it says it. So it's purposefully there. And that's
so
why
there's going to be all these Juliets who are like, oh my God, I was so special, I got mentioned. And now you've just like completely thrown that away. Just a, random name. I love how like so you've got like Ruby, 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 or like whatever. It turns into an anthem for whoever's name goes in there. I feel like for Jessica, there's only that Mambo number 5 song, and I only get a really small bit, but there we go. All right, okay, I want to hit the fan questions now. So we've got Kitty Pollitt, who's got involved on the Record Club's page, and she says, which track was your favourite to record in the studio?
That's a good one. Do you know what mine was? I love Cinerama. I mean, that's pure just based on like the drum beat, which is a bit more fun. And like Ian Skelly from the Coral basically came up with the drum beat just by fluke. I think they were jamming one day, and I walked in and you were just sort of going at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that sounds mint. And then it was quite. I don't know. It was weird to sort of go into studio and then just sort of change it completely. Do you know what I mean? It was quite fun. It was like sort of off the cuff and then just sort of taking his drum beat and sort of adding little things and making it my own was dead fun. So I really enjoyed that on a purely selfish point of view from the drums, which I'm sure no one's bothered about.
What did I like doing? I liked coming up because we can't the little instrumental bits we wrote in me and James wrote them together in the studio, like off the cuff. So I quite enjoyed that because it was like spontaneous. And
did they come after?
So we had the rest of the album, and we were going in recording all the songs, and we knew we wanted some instrumental pieces. So we were like, James was like, well, I've got these chords, I've never done anything with it. So then I wrote the melody over the top of the chords, but we kind of, I don't know, we've never done anything like that before. So we kind of did that, like.
Yeah, do you know what? Whenever we go into a studio, everything's like, I think we're quite well organised.
There's always demos, and we get the demo up, and we decide what we're keeping off the demo.
Even to the point of like where it's like, right, we're in this day, like today we'll do this and that and that. So we're quite
a tight ship.
Yeah. So it's like whenever it's like I mentioned there about the drums and Tom mentioned there, anything like that's like a bit more sporadic seems to be the bit that's like, oh, this is good. I mean, I
love being in the studio, so yeah, that's why I struggle to think of something like, because there's not one song I didn't enjoy recording. Like I love the whole thing, but that was something different, which was kind of fun.
We work quite fast in the studio as well, really.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how many takes are you like a one take wonder, or are you like, oh no, for safety we'll do loads?
Nah, pretty much one take really. There's not like
and you don't play it all live as a band. You layer it all up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
that's true.
We're quite strict. It's like, what would you say, 2 days for one tune?
Yeah, we can get an album done in like easy
a month.
Yeah, easy get an album done in a month.
That is very efficient.
Yeah, and that's like literally Monday to Friday, like
11 till 6. Yeah, bang out.
Yeah,
we don't like staying all night or anything like that.
Nah, we literally we work until our ears get a bit tired, and then we're like, right, let's call it a day.
Fair enough. Evelyn Carroll on the Blossoms Facebook page says, what tune on the album are you most proud of?
First one came to my mind was Visions.
Yeah,
just because it's. But there's a lot on this. A lot on this that I'm proud of, to be fair. I like that one because it is something different. It's longer and there's all different pieces, and I like the lyrics on it. I like Ode to New York as well.
Yeah, I think Born Wild. I think it's some of Tom's best songwriting.
Joe Buchanan says on the Record Club's YouTube, I would love to know who decided on the artwork for each track in the booklet. Love the black and white throughout.
So when we started working with Edwin, we knew we were going to let him do the artwork. We kind of had an idea for what we wanted.
Is this?
Yeah, so that's like represents what each song on the album.
So, for example, number 2 is obviously
Ode to New York. But we knew we wanted something. Basically, we knew we didn't want to be on it because we've always been on the covers, and we knew we wanted it simple, like Arctic Monkeys, Suck It and See, or I don't know, The Velvet Underground. Basically, just
Beatles White Album.
Yeah, just something dead simple. So we sent Edwin the album, and he was like, "Well, I'm hearing wood engravings." So we were like, "Well, that's pretty cool." Can't think of anyone else who's done that. So he found a wood engraver. So what
was her name again?
She's called Hilary Painter. So she's like late 70s. Like she's really cool. Done it for years. And
She like hand carves.
So she hand carves it into like a block of wood, and then you dip it in ink, and then you print it like that. So
she basically makes a stamp, doesn't she?
Yeah. But for each, so obviously Edwin was like every song should have its own symbol. So that at that point, I think I then went away and found references for like Wanna Wanna. So, like Ode to New York was like the apple, and then Visions was like the bridge because it's like with a train on it, because that was like we sleep on the train in the lyrics, and it's basically like looking out the window, that song. Yeah, like the second to last one, and then so it was a mixture of me and Edwin really. I think maybe the lads
you sent over.
I sent a reference sheet over, and it was a joint effort really between the band and Edwin, and I think Hillary might have even come up with a couple on her own. 100%. So it was kind of a collaborative thing, but then she obviously brought it to life with the way she did it.
The Soaking Poet she came up with, I remember that one.
Which one's the Soaking Poet?
The person.
Show me the cover again.
Here we go.
Oh no, yeah, that's that's I've sent a so that's like
what's the rain on the roof?
That one.
Yeah, so a lyric is "Love is rain upon the roof at night." Mm-hmm. So obviously that's rain on the roof. So it's just all that. It's like so part of it is to do with the lyrics, part of it's to do with the film.
So yeah, like
the skate thing is from the film.
Yeah,
that's Edith in the film. So yeah, just a joint effort really.
Okay, we have time for one more final fan question. Jamie Birchall on Blossom's Facebook page says, Tom, where did the inspiration come from behind Edith?
So Edith Machinist.
This is a dead indie story.
Yeah. So the song isn't really about anything personal to me. It's more like just I had the melody first, and I kind of got lyrics to fit it, and you know it's kind of longing after something, and you know something that didn't really work out is the idea. But the title is from a vintage clothes shop in New York, which I went to when I first started going there, like on holiday with Katie. But basically, it was like our little thing we'd do in the new year, because that was when I had some time off, and that's when she did. She's a hairdresser, so she's always dead busy. So anyway, we used to go to New York in the January, and we ended up at this vintage shop called Edith Machinist. And obviously, the song title thing, I'm always doing it. So I was like, well, that's a great name / play on words. So I was like, it went into my phone, and I never got it into a song for like 4 years. And then I finally got it in on that song because it rhymed, because I had like Ceaseless War, and Edith kind of rhymes with ceaseless. So that's why it went in there basically. So it was like I had to chip away at that song and crowbar things from like different influences and different ideas I had. But the song title come from a vintage shop in New York. So yeah, that's where the inspiration's from.
Patience at its finest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's well, at least is it 4 years? Did you say 4 years in the making? kind of.
Yeah. So we've been trying to get it into a song for about 4 years. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely paid off. People are loving it, obviously. But guys, that's all we have time for today. We've absolutely loved having you, Tom and Joe from Blossoms. But first, we need to make sure that we announce this week's winner of our Bowers & Wilkins headphones prize. It's not you. You didn't get your question answered. So we have... drum roll. The winner of this week's Bowers & Wilkins wireless headphones prize is Eva Lynn Carroll, who got in touch on Blossom's page. So please slide into the Record Club's DMs and we'll get those headphones to you. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to get a copy of Ribbon Around the Bomb from your local record shop, because we support those. And of course, thank you all for joining us and sending in your questions. Our next guest is going to be announced on the Record Club's social media very soon, so make sure you're following us. Plus, all previous episodes are available to watch back on our YouTube channel. See you soon. And yeah, Joe and Tom, thank you so much from Blossoms.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.